and the effect must be felt by the government. We cannot afford to go to Thika Road or where. If it is Thika Road, it must be Thika Road to the sense that there is no anything that can, we must paralyze something. That is the essence of demonstration. Otherwise, if we leave it, we can go to demonstrate to Uhuru Park, Kasarani, and all that, people go home. They will continue doing other things. So I think, as I learned, let us unite. Let us not be swayed by other tactics of government. We know that they will do that. As long as we move to the streets, there will always be goons. The hooliganism will be thwarted when we come in large numbers. That is the only way we can overrun them. Otherwise, if we fear them, there are some few elements. For us, let us go in good numbers and go where we feel or where our presence must be felt. Let us not misuse that opportunity. Let us concentrate where, when we go there, that number alone will interfere, will paralyze so many other things. And as a result of that, we are able to achieve what we can do. And it must be consistent and persistent. Otherwise, if you are not ready to face such kind of forces, then you better sit back at home, because you must, when you go out, expect such kind of behavior. They are there. But those are the things that we want to change. So if we are afraid of them, we are not going to make any change. So we must confront them head on.
Okay.
That does not mean we use crude weapons. No. Let us go peaceful and demonstrate that we are after change, and that which we must do. Whether they are goons or not, we are going to turn in large numbers. So I insist large numbers.
You are landing. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Academia. Can you hear Wodapala? Okay, Wodapala, I can't hear you. I don't know why.
Do I leave and come back?
Thank you so much, guys. I think we appreciate everybody. Dr. is here with us, and we want to condole with our fallen heroes who have been killed because of what is going on. And this evening, we want to have a way forward. And thank you so much, Academia, for your submission. And we thank you so much. Everybody gonna got a mic, and when you have a mic, be just objective and make sure that the conversation went straight. Dr. are you here with us?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well. Yeah. That's okay.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to contribute if you're ready.
Right. Let me talk. Wodapala, if you can go, because I can't hear you, do this. Just drop, then come back. Okay, Dr. You can go ahead. You can go ahead, and then Justice Makonyango will come in.
Thank you very much, hosts. And I thank all the participants, the people who are listening, and the people who will be speaking, and the people who have spoken. I wish to express my condolences to the heroes that this tyrannical regime murdered. All the people who have been murdered by the government. So let us not quibble around it. They have been murdered brutally because this government does not listen, does not care about human life, and does not care about the people. It's actually getting worse. I would also wish to express my empathy with those who have been injured or those who have been inconvenienced in whatever way. I received a report just a few hours ago that they have started, basically, they issued a statement with pictures of individuals that they say were involved in incitement and other alleged criminal activities. But the curious thing is that they're charging them with using or chanting the word Ruto must go. And they're saying that is incitement. I want first of all to say, we have to use Ruto must go. You have a right to use Ruto must go as part of your right of free speech. We cannot allow Ruto or anybody else to define for us the words and statements to use. He does not own the Constitution. He does not own Kenya. He does not own us. We are not his slaves. And he cannot tell us that we cannot use the word Ruto must go. If we disapprove of him, we have a right to express it in the strongest language possible. And Ruto must go currently captures our sentiments, our feelings, our disapprovals. So that's what we have to use. Now, why do we have to use Ruto must go? Apart from delegitimizing him, Ruto does not have enough police officers or even military officers to arrest 54 million Kenyans. They don't have enough policemen, they don't have enough magistrates, they don't have enough courtrooms, they don't have enough jails to put anybody in. So jamming the system is part of resistance. The more multitudes shout Ruto must go, the more he becomes completely unable to do anything. We have to jam the courtrooms where these individuals are being taken to paralyze them so that even charging them becomes difficult. It has to be done in such a way that the system is unable to go on with business as usual. I have heard a lot of statements, mostly people, I don't know how to describe it, but it's disappointing, the statements I'm hearing about the goons. First of all, anyone who has been involved in struggle, any struggle against any oppressive regime, some of us have been in this thing since 1987 against Moi regime, understands and appreciates the fact that there will always be a few who are hired by the state or by the tyrant to terrorize people. So we expected the goons. I think last week I said, if they didn't hire the goons, I would have been surprised. Because then that would mean that Ruto had learned and wanted to subject himself to operating within the Constitution. But we know he doesn't. So we expected him to use his cronies and his goons to hire goons. What disappointed me is that there were less than 500 goons, basically. Less than 500. I don't understand how 500 goons can overpower thousands of people. Yet, most of them were just carrying sticks. These people should have been arrested by the crowd because citizens' arrest is allowed under law. You can arrest any criminal as a civilian if they are committing crimes and the police are unwilling or unable to arrest them. Or if they are committing crimes where the police are not there, even if the police were to act under the law. But we know we have a rogue police force, a police force that believes that they are only serving an individual. They're not serving the citizens. They're not serving the country. So I do not believe that running away from these goons, unless they were armed with AK-47s. I didn't see that. I saw ragtag people walking on the street with sticks and people running away from them. And I think we have to stand our ground and say, you're not going to harass us. You're not going to beat us up. If we are 10,000, 100,000, 200,000, why are we running away? Honestly, let us get a grip of ourselves. I know that a lot of people believe that it's better said than done, but I've seen very brave souls confronting them. Let us confront them. Let us not run away from Sudi's goons or Sakaja's goons, because you have a right to resist. You have a right to self-defense. Somebody cannot come to your home or come to your business and beat you up, and you turn the other cheek. We must tell the regime that turning the other cheek is not an option. People are going to exercise their right to self-defense. I agree with the businesses that said we are going to protect our businesses. They should. They should protect their businesses against looters. But they cannot turn their crude weapons on protesters who are not invading their premises. So, come to the statement that was made by the gentleman calling himself Academia. I agree with them. The more we are, the more impossible it is for anybody to do anything. If people had turned out in their millions, Ruto would be gone by now. And we would not be talking about goons. As long as Ruto knows that he can hire a few goons to harass people and then the majority of Kenyans will stop demonstrating, he will continue using them until 2027. Is it something that we can afford to go through? My respectful submission is that that should not be an option. We should not allow Ruto to basically plow his way through this mess by brute force. I come to a most important point here. Have we achieved anything? I have heard people say we have achieved what we set out to do. That Finance Bill 2024 is not there anymore. That's a big lie. That's a delusional thought. Finance Bill 2024 is not dead. In 2 weeks, it will be law. Because the Constitution says that in 21 days, if nothing happens, what Ruto purported to reject becomes law. And that's what he's waiting for. He's waiting for people to be divided. He's waiting for the protest to end. Finance Bill 2024 becomes law. And then things go on the way they have always gone on. That would be tragic. Because that would mean that Rex and others died for nothing, were murdered for nothing. And I'm saying that would be a betrayal of the people whom he has killed, the people who have been abducted, the people who are getting charged, the people who are getting harassed, the people he will continue to brutalize. We cannot allow him to get away with this. So what is the way forward? The way forward is to continue the protests. It cannot be to stop the protests because there is nothing we have achieved. Ruto will become more brutal if we stop the protests than if we continue with the protests. So there is no other way but to continue. And we should continue tomorrow, Thursday. How should we do it? I think an idea was floated, and I believe it is a very reasonable idea, that we should have a place that we gather. Because if you have a place where you gather, and you gather there in large numbers, then it would be impossible to scatter people. So what is the best place to gather? The best place to gather, there are few places. The places have to be symbols of the state, symbols of this regime, symbols of government, because otherwise you're not passing any message. Blocking a road, that's not a symbol of a government or state. If you go to parliament, that's a symbol of government. If you go to Arambe House, that's a symbol of government. Now, this is controversial. I will not raise it. I will not say go to State House. I think if we were 10 million strong, you could. But because we are not, choose a place that symbolizes the government and that would be able to send a clear message that you are saying no to despotism. It would be very, very important. Those who were speaking yesterday and saying they go back to re-strategize, that is not just naive. it exposes the fact that some of these people have been infiltrated. Because we said the movement was leaderless, the movement was organic, was tribeless. So where are they going to re-strategize? They're not going to re-strategize. They are going to eat the money that they have been given by the NIS. Honestly, they are going to strategize where, for how long, with whom? Because there is no organization. Under which umbrella are they strategizing? Who told them that they could call off protests that are organic? So Kenyans who are angry with what is happening should continue to express their anger, should continue to express their disapproval, and should be able to go out there and exercise their rights under Clause 1 of the Constitution by occupying public places and registering their disapproval of how William Ruto has mismanaged the country. Just as we were hearing people talking about re-strategizing, I heard today that Murkomen has been arrested in Dubai with 200 million cash, and that Ruto had to call for him to be released. Murkomen is my friend, but what the hell is somebody doing with 200 million cash? Where did he get it from? He said that Ruto produced some list, or SRC produced a list of so-called earnings of public officers, starting with the president going down. And you could tell from that list that the salaries that are announced, even the so-called increments that are purportedly recommended, would never give anybody 200 million cash, would never support anybody buying a watch worth 30 million, which Ruto wears, 10 of them. He changes them every day. Remember, in Latin America, a president was arrested just recently for her gold watches. I hear you have a president who is borrowing trillions and taking jet of 200 million and wearing watches worth 30 million and shoes worth 2 million each, and nobody seems to be bothered, and his salary is supposed to be 1.5 million per month. It's not possible unless you're a thief. And we know that Ruto is a thief. And we know that Rigiji is a thief. And we know that most of the people working for him are thieves. Let's call it what it is. These people are looters. Why are we allowing looters to continue looting when majority of our children are unemployed, cannot get anywhere to work? Why shouldn't these kids and the people who are unemployed say, look, we want our country back so that we can also make a contribution to national development? You're not going to do that if you're not working. And what are you going to do when you say you're going to re-strategize? You're going to sit at home? What are you going to do? What are you going to eat as you quote-unquote re-strategize? And really, what is there to re-strategize? The formula was working and is working. The protest brought some concession, but not a complete one, because Ruto simply played games with the people. He pretended that he's not signing the bill into law, but it will automatically become law in 21 days. So what is it that people want? We did not bring, the people of Kenya did not bring the goons on the street. The people of Kenya did not hire the goons to harass them. We know the people who hired them. Why didn't the police arrest the goons? How come they have not been summoned, but individuals using Ruto must go on their posts are being summoned? We must call it as it is. It's because Kenya is being ruled by organized mafia, organized criminals. They know they are organized criminals. They don't make no fuss about it. And if we allow ourselves to be divided over pettiness, over parochialism, over things that don't matter, then we have to say we are ready to be slaves for the rest of our lives, and that you're going to have goons and thugs and crooks ruling over you, lording over you, exploiting you, looting from you for the rest of our lives. If you are ready to say that, then you should not be complaining. Don't complain about corruption. Don't complain about police brutality. Don't complain about abductions. Don't complain about overtaxation. This fight is not about overtaxation. Overtaxation was a trigger. This fight is about the culture of impunity, the runaway plunder, and the excesses that we have already spoken about. And these problems started in 1963. They are not new. We have had them generation after generation. And it is false to acclaim that only Gen Zs have been fighting. No. People have died for this country. As I said last week, Pio Pinto was the first known public figure that was assassinated in 1964. His family have not received justice. James Kariuki's family have not received justice. Kungu Karumba's family have not received justice. The families of Arwen Skovek have not received justice. Dr. Robert Uko's family have not received justice. Dr. Odhiambombai's family have not received justice. Chris Musando's family have not received justice. And I could go on and on. Baby Pendo, all of them. There are many. Yes. And the colleagues that died last week have not received justice. So what are you going back home for? What are you folding your tent for? Why are you saying that Ruto is good all of a sudden? And yet he's the one who has killed these people last week. And he did not even send his condolences. He's not even sorry. He's proud of the police that killed them. You want to weaponize Ruto, make him strong, fortify him, say go ahead, kill more? Is that success? So anyone who is talking about let's fold it, let's leave this, we have achieved our aim, was never ever in the struggle, was not genuine from day one. We have to say it as it is. Some people are saying, oh, Miguna is opportunistic. Opportunism are the people who are eating with Ruto. Opportunism for what? There is no organization here to lead. We don't have an organization. There is no government to be opportunistic about. We don't have elections. So what is it that we are opportunistic about? We are not opportunistic because those who are opportunistic are cutting deals with the NIS and with Ruto and are getting paid and are folding and going and have started confusing the people. Let these people not confuse us. Let them not bring division. Let them not bring distractions. Let's be focused like laser beams. I suggest that we occupy parliament. Other people can suggest other things. The reason is that legislation cannot go on. Members of parliament, the majority of them, I believe right now, will either join the people or they will run and go hide. But already, parliament was occupied. Already, parliament symbolizes the passage of the Finance Bill 2024, the rogue parliament. Already, parliament is emasculated. So we can use parliament as a symbol. If Uhuru Park was open, you could go to Uhuru Park. If there was other public spaces that symbolizes the government, we could go there. But for now, it has to be one place because if we are scattered, these people will pick us one at a time and then disintegrate us, and then we will achieve nothing. Then we will not be able to bring justice to those who died. Finally, I suggest that all of us use Ruto must go. That is an insurance policy and a protection of the people that is picking one at a time to subject to brutality in the colonized courts. Thank you.
Thank you, Daktari. Do we have some follow-up question? Can you hear me, Dr. Miguna?
I can hear you. I can hear
We can hear
you.
you very well. Go ahead, Wodapala.
Okay, yeah, I wanted another co-host. That's good. We have a new co-host. Now, all I wanted to ask, can the Law Society help us in case of the people who are getting abducted? Because that's another thing that is killing the momentum. What can the legal minds that we have in Kenya help us in this case?
My friend Wodapala, the Law Society has gone over and done wonderfully. So they are already helping. They're doing more than helping. They're doing this pro bono. They are representing all the people who have been arrested. And the Law Society president has been more than revolutionary. She's attended courts, she's attended police stations, she's always there, she's taking calls. So we are getting 100% cooperation from the Law Society.
Kai, thank you. Biril, my co-host, you can take it over. I'll be going through the comments later.
Thank you so much, Wodapala. Thank you so much, Dr. for coming again as our guest. Thank you, Hilary, for hosting the space. First of all, I want to appreciate everyone that is in the space today. And we have one disclaimer that was trying to be paraded, that Miguna is the leader of the Gen Zs. Miguna is offering guidance and senior counsel advice. So to anyone that is joining this space, Miguna is not the leader of the Gen Zs. Take that narrative elsewhere, because you came with the narrative of the tribal, it never worked. You came with the narrative of the churches, it never worked. You looked for the sponsors, it never worked. You looked for separation and division, it never worked. Now you've taken a few of the people that had the many followers trying to compromise them to kill the momentum. That is also not going to work. So if you want a narrative that there's any political affiliation, it's also not there. So as you're in this space, our guest is only here to give guidance and clarification of the senior counsel in terms of law and the constitutional right. So I'll share the speakers to people who will raise their hands, and we'll give 100 if we can hear you. And you ask questions related to the discussion and any question in relation to the same. If you have another question outside the topic, we're going to switch off the mic from you, not because you don't want you to speak, but because you're out of topic. So I will give the people on the speaker panel at least 3 minutes each. Just raise your hand. We are going to be very generous with the speakers so that you can get guidance. And the spirit of fear is what is being inflicted, because the KDF never worked. And now the GOONS is coming on board. And the GOONS are already complaining that they are not being paid. They worked and they were never paid. So if you see things are working towards the goal, then know that the eye is on the prize. So aim at the prize, forget about the narrations that are being spread across. And in Kiswahili, they say wanatapaka, to find a reason for everything. But the reason is the poor governance. The reason is the poor leadership. Marge, welcome. The reason is we want change. And that change cannot come from somebody who is already very much compromised. So let's keep our eyes on the prize. It's not a very soft road. It's a very dark road. It's very thick. It's steepy, and we have to walk through it. So I'll give you Tabi, and let's be positive. Let's be 3 minutes each, and let's focus on the topic. Kindly.
Thank you very much. What I wanted to add is that we cannot allow intruders to take over what you have started. Whatever that you started was a good thing. Therefore, we cannot allow intruders, that is the goons, to come and take over the journey that we started. So to me, I think what we can do right now is to try as much as possible to defame Ruto, because he has portrayed himself as an African leader, So if we try and defame him, like carry out a narrative that Ruto is bloodthirsty, Ruto is murdering our kids, Ruto is the goon leader, paint that everywhere, on the streets, on everything that you have on social media. Let us paint him as that way, because that is who he is. So I think that is, and then after painting him, I think he's going to retreat back and say this is now spoiling the name of his name because he wants to portray himself as, you know, the person who championed for peace, who championed for this and that. So if we paint him as a bloodthirsty, the killer, the leader of goons, he's going to retreat back and, you know, find other means, but not use goons. Thank you.
Thank you, Tabi. Naman.
Thank you very much, everyone. First of all, mad respect to those patriots that have fallen in this cause, and we stay to soldier on. Now, government of Ruto will come up with many tactics. Hiring goons is just one of them. They will try to bribe, they will try to threaten, they will try to kill, they will try all manner of things. We are dealing with a government that is, we're dealing with a government of cowards. It is very clear that Ruto is scared to the core. And we cannot afford to let this drop by any means that he is trying to infiltrate. I want to reiterate a point that Dr. Miguna, thank you, that Dr. Miguna said, that our numbers, our success is in our numbers. If we come out in numbers and we do citizen arrest for these goons, this thing will succeed. One thing that has been done in the past, that we have been able to profile even police officers that have shot and killed people. So we can do the same thing with these goons. They are not from Tanzania or Burundi. They are from the same estates we live in. We can profile them and find them and put them in the limelight outside arresting them. Let's get the cameras on. We should arrest them and deliver them to the police. Of course, I know the police is abating this so that there can be division. And of course, we've seen the division coming in, people saying, oh, businesses are being destroyed and then this is not working. It has been infiltrated. We are not going to be distracted. But teams should make sure that we take pictures of these people, we get who they are, and we deal with them. And once they know that, because they know we outnumber them, we will stop them. But we know Ruto is not going to stop at hiring goons. Is going to come up with tactics. They're busy every day crafting, because they are crafting means, because they know they have been cornered. Thank you.
Okay, Beryl, you can also accept new members. I'm trying to accept some of them. I am sure there's a problem on my side.
And then open your inbox so that we can have our side communication. Thank you very much. We'll go with the Prof and then Masika. If you have a question, if you have anything relation that you're leaving off, you're also allowed to bring it forth, as Dr. is here with us for 2 hours.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope you can hear me. I'm so glad that Dr. Miguna is here to give guidance, and thank you so much, Hilary, for this. My main concern has been the goons who have really, in a way, demoralized the members. Yesterday, when we were on the same space, people used to say, we need not to go to the field tomorrow. But the question here is, I am very sure this is a tactic that is used by the government to demoralize us. Numbers is going to help us, and when we say we go out, we are going to go out. You have realized that in the other parts of the state, that is Kisumu and the western regions, we've not had even cases of death, unless otherwise for yesterday. But I'm not sure why Nairobi is the case. And we need to really focus and never get demoralized, because much as goons are going to be part of us, yeah, we are going to be members, marching, making and defaming Ruto, who we must ensure that goes out of office. But when goons are in between us, who we cannot identify, we cannot tell that the person marching beside me is a goon carrying a knife, but that is not going to be the question. So sorry, and we know we are going to be very, very sorry and remorseful for those people we have lost in the means of trying to fight for the liberation. But I'm very sure that us being strong, us coming together in numbers, us knowing where to be at the right time and exactly what to say, being our vocals, being our slogan, Ruto must go, as Dr. Miguna was saying, That should be the thing. That should be the name. Yesterday, DCI released a list of members who they are tracking. But to be surprised, later on, you see that one of those goons, the guy appearing on the left side, first row, is someone who had taken a photo of a selfie with Osoro, who has been very vocal and so proud, making and saying a lot of things that he cannot even say sorry for voting yes. So you realize that these are tactics that the government have put in place, and they will continue consulting. But as yesterday, you remember, a member said that we need to even dig deeper, that what are the ways that the government will always use to tame a revolution. The revolution has stopped, and it never stopped, and it never has started, and it never stopped. And what we need to keep it to our mind, colleagues, is that this is a thing that we will say has stopped when we have reached the cross line. And I was saying, we need strategies. We are not structured, and that is a very good thing, because we are not going to say, hey, we want to listen to you. What are you saying? We are elites. We are people who have gone to school with degrees, with papers. We are strategists. We can think of what to do. We can pass, like tomorrow we are going into the field. We are going to run into the streets. We are going to shout, Ruto must go, and never relent, because that is where our eyes are set. But one thing is, a time has also come when we also need to specifically narrow down. Ruto must go is the big picture, which at the end of the day we need to achieve. But there are few things that I know members have also mentioned. How do we start? The CSS, we know how the government has been working. We know the ministries, some illegitimate positions that the government has created. So as Dr. Daktari was mentioning, we have very specific places which acts as a sign of the government, the representation of the government, a symbol. If we go there, much as I know, the police that have been deployed in the streets will bother us. If we say we want to meet at a specific point and we come from all corners, you realize that they have blocked all the roads heading there. So at no point are we going to find ourselves at a very specific rendezvous. But I know that the strength that we are going to put on the streets, shouting, making noise, and shouting against the government, then that is going to work out. I want to thank every member for holding still. We have to mourn our members who we have lost, but we are sure that whether we lose them or not, at one point or another, when we are writing the histories of the country, we are sure to say that that was us who did it. We remember, this is my last statement, that in the history of the revolution of the world, most of these countries that were liberated from either punitive governments or any other kind of unwanted government, they were youths. All these elderly people, they gave guidance, but the only people who came into speaking and shouting and their voices were heard were this young generation. So that is us, the millennials and the Gen Zs. I want to say kudos, and we are going until our intentions are met. Thank you for now.
Oh, thank you. Now we've not heard the voice of a lady now. Marge, can you jump in? Then followed by Masika.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I joined late just minutes ago, but I want to, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Daktari. I want to caution, I've just had two speakers talk about defamation. Defamation is not legal, not unless you're using it to imply a different context. So when we go out there, we want the government to also behave in a legal way. As far as I know, since yesterday or since we started these spaces, the suggestion that Dr. Miguna has suggested is also within the Constitution, Article 1 of the Constitution. So while we give suggestions, kindly let's stick within the legal, the legal area. So you may describe the president as you want to, but if you're calling on defamation of the president, that's illegal, and that is something, at least in my understanding, we do not want to do, because otherwise we will be
doing things that we don't want done to us. And we just want to keep it legal as we continue and express ourselves. It's a constitutional right. That is what I just had when I came 5 minutes ago. And kindly let's proceed in a very sober and legal way. Back to you, Biril.
Thank you so much, Masika. And I like what you've just put across, and we appreciate that.
Can I just say something very, very brief? Very brief. Yes, I think she's right on point. Marge is right on point. I think the person misspoke. It's not defamation. Let's deconstruct Ruto. Let's demystify him. Let's expose him. But if you say you are defaming him, then that's defamation is a civil. It's not a criminal offense. It's a civil liability issue where somebody can actually sue you. The president cannot sue you for defamation or for libel because, as the one holding the highest public office, he can be criticized with the most unkind words, and he really has no place to go. So use the unkind words, but he can't go to court for that. The second thing I wanted to say is that we have to be careful. Please do not unnecessarily give your address, where you live, where you are, what your profession is, unless it is absolutely necessary, where you went to school, which year you graduated. Because essentially what you're doing, you're giving goons the weapon to come and hunt for you. I'm not saying you run away from them. I'm simply saying we have to avoid recklessness. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. Thank you for that. And all members, you've heard that. As much as you're doing it, do it in the right way that the law doesn't catch up with anybody in our midst. Masike, and then Kioti, then Yona. So when you take the mic, I'll give you a sign of 100. So just check the screen so that you don't go asking if we can hear you. When you see 100 from any of the panels, just know that you can hear what you're saying. Carry on, Masika, then Yona to take it up.
Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity on this space. Mine is going to be very, very brief. Number one, I just want to encourage everybody that let us marshal our numbers. GOONS have never succeeded in our democracy, and this is just a coward way. This is just a very, very silly way Ruto is trying to deploy so that we are distracted. Number two, if you follow today's Senate proceedings, these guys are just trying to show us that they are trying to redeem themselves. They are just trying to awaken themselves concerning the crisis that we have in the country. They are not, my friends. They are not. They're just trying to soothe people so that when people retreat, thinking that the parliament is now redeeming itself to work for the people, then they will bite us in a very hard way. So let us not buy into their lies. Let us not buy into their propaganda. So we just need to forge forward. We just need to focus. Number three, I was just suggesting if we can meet at Uhuru Park. The moment we collect the required number, then we march out in the streets. Number four, at least if we can have the PA system, so that the youth, the Gen Zs can also have entertainment during that period, it will be better. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Masika. So you can drop from the mic and then Yona to take it so that you can add other speakers. It's 3 minutes each so that everyone can get a chance to speak. And also, Dr. is waiting for your questions. Anything that you want to be addressed in terms of where you're not understanding. But there was a clause that we covered extensively. That is that was the first day we were here. So if you ask any question in relation to that, we'll share it on the comment section. But any other question, you're allowed to ask. Carry on, Yona, then we'll go to QOT. Yona? Yona is far. QOT, take it.
Okay, thank you so much, the host and the co-host, and also Daktari for joining us this evening on this space. Personally, I'm in the age group of the Gen Z because currently I'm 23, turning 24 next month. And so I'm so proud that this revolution has come at a time when I'm in my mid-20s. So I'm one of those guys who are really passionate about what is going on as far as redemption of our country is concerned. And of course, I've been on the streets every now and then, and also I've been online. So I'm trying to fight both on the street and both on online. And of course, whatever happened yesterday, as I said, it was uncalled for, because the police officers who are supposed to give security to the peaceful protesters were firing the tear gas and the round wounds to the protesters, while the goons who are now trying to break into other businesses, they were being watched. So that one is clear that the state or the government was behind whatever happened yesterday and whatever happened in previous demonstrations as far as goonship and breaking into people's businesses is concerned. And now my point is, from now henceforth, at times we'll be on the streets and at times we'll not be on the streets. So my fellow Gen Zs and millennial and any other person who is interested in taking part to the redemption of this country, never get tired. Because when we speak something on social media and we are giving it 100% backup, that one is strong enough to send a message to those people who are in the government that are doing absolutely nothing. So let us use every available means, online and on the ground. When we go on the ground, let us even shut our social medias down so that we are now on the ground, we are giving it 100%. Then the people who are in abroad and the likes of Marge, and you can now help us on social media. Of course, we can even structure our revolution. I don't mean that we have the leaders, but we can have some people who can volunteer themselves so that they can be streaming live each and everything that is happening on the ground. They share photos, they share pictures, they share the videos and the clips. And then after that, when we are done, we come back and analyze what did we do right and what did we do wrong, so that the next day we maximize on the negative side that we have portrayed on the street. Then I've also heard that currently when you say Ruto must go is an incitement, but is not an incitement. For this country to grow and be a first world country, then Ruto must go. For the judiciary of this country to work independently, Ruto must go. For us youth to get employed in the government and outside the country, and outside the government, then Ruto must go. For us to get good public means on the roads, it's honestly that Ruto and the entire regime, they must go. Because we've given them time. It's now almost 2.5 years that they have been in the government, and they have done absolutely nothing. Even the projects that they are running currently, like the housing project, that project doesn't belong to Ruto. It belongs to the previous regime, which was being headed by Uhuru Kenyatta. So everything in the country is at a mess because we are having this guy as the head of state. Yet he has had so many cases. I remember back when he was the agriculture minister, everything was so worse because I was young by that time, but we went through that process. We know what everything happened, and now he's the president. Look at his cabinet. Every person is just offside. They don't know what they are doing. They don't know anything that they are supposed to do. Look at the parliament. The parliament is being run by the executive. There is nothing that we have an independent government, executive, judiciary. We don't have an independent legislature. We also don't have an independent the police force. So for this country to thrive and for us to move from the third world country to the first world country, then Ruto must go. Thank you.
Thank you, Kioti. Justice or Prof, you can take the mic. And let's stick to 3 minutes. When I raise my hand up, just know that you've taken more than 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Hilary, for hosting this space. Thank you, Dr. Miguna, for showing up. I just want to respect the lives that have been lost so far. I would like to say that I echo the conversation so far on continuation of the protest and not letting the goons stand on our way. I do have a question for Dr. Miguna on matters of protest where goons are concerned. Can turn very fertile, and I saw a girl immaculate yesterday with her rungu out there, and for some minutes I was proud, and then I started thinking about it deeper, and my thought went in the direction of what if everybody showed up with the rungu? Wouldn't that be very, very fatal for everybody? So the question now is, how do we protect our youths on the streets? Is it a matter of having the right attire? Because when you are dealing with goons, they might show up there with other things. Today they showed up with sticks. Tomorrow they might show up with, God forbid, knives or whatever kind of armory they might want to bring that is not visible. How do we prevent fatalities on the ground? Thank you.
Daktari, would you take it, or we take two more questions, then you answer them at a go?
Hello? Hello?
Go ahead, I can hear you.
Yes.
I
Go ahead.
could take it. I believe I had already said something probably before she joined. I do appreciate her concern, and they're very genuine ones. But my view is this. Number one, as many people have also acknowledged, our security is our numbers. If we are more, if we are a lot of people on the streets, say hundreds of thousands to 1 million, these people are less than 500 people. They will not be able to hire more than that. Okay? Because it requires organization. And once you get to hire a lot of people, word will get out because you're dealing with a crowd. We would know exactly who hired them, where, how much they were paid. Even right now, we already know who hired them and where they were paid. But I'm saying they're very, very few. And so if we are a lot on the streets, they will not be able to attack anyone. That's number one. So really our security is our numbers. Number two, I believe that if we are able to unarm them, we should do so. It is useless to run away from them. I personally think that. Unless these people are armed with AK-47s or guns, 1 million people or 100,000 people should not run away from less than 500 people. These are just a handful of goons walking the streets. This was the Nyayo era tyranny that was there. that we experienced for 24 years. We cannot allow it to continue. Use your phones. Take their good images. I was actually disappointed that people were taking the backs of their heads and they were taking vehicles, but they were not taking faces of these people. And they were walking, and you could take very clear pictures, zoom in, and take very clear pictures with which we can hold them to account. And basically, that's all that we can do. I mean, but we are not going to run away from them, and we are not going to fold or stop the demonstrations just because Ruto decides to use his cronies to hire goons to attack peaceful protesters. Because, you see, the international media is also on the streets. Everybody is watching. Ruto has lost a lot of support and credibility with the international community. The more we expose him by taking pictures, by exposing who he has used to hire these people, by apprehending these goons if we can. I'm not saying anybody should put himself or herself in danger, but if we can, we should, because you are allowed under law to execute citizens' arrest. There was something else that was, somebody was talking about a political party. We are not a political party. The moment you introduce political parties or any factionalism here, we will be divided. So let's maintain it the way it is. No political party, no political affiliation. We are just Kenyans who want to transform our country. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Daktari. And if you had actually, due to this pressure, I think you'd say the Senate House today, many were trying to sanctify themselves, which is, we call it a voice of reason, and everybody feels the conversations need to be had right now. So if at all you had the conversation that was from the Senate today, you can actually tell that the pressure is mounting, and going out is a positive thing. And the way yesterday it was infiltrated, we've already known their tactic, and it's an old tactic that some of, like Dr. is now mentioning. So Maj, you can say something, and then you can hand over the speaker to the next speaker, please. Karibu.
Yeah, Karibu. Thank you so much, Biril. And guys, I think I joined an hour later, so I'll be doing more of the queuing as I catch up with you in the conversation. So Tabi, Biril, I'll just take it back to you as you cue the next speaker, and then I'll be right back.
Just a response.
Sorry? Professor, kindly proceed.
If you can, yeah. The question about, if you allow me, co-host, is another aspect and strategy that we will have to deal with, much as we are not going to be in a position to identify who these goons are. Then another strategy is, could we also at least know the person who is besides you? You are marching in a street, we are using the anti-government sounds, but at least do you know the person who is besides you? Later on, I've seen on the occasions where someone maybe died and someone is out, you say, I was with that guy, he was besides me. But it would be good again if I knew exactly who is surrounding me. I'm marching, but around 3 or 4 or 5 people around me. Who are you? Where are you? At least with that, we are going to identify who is, and again, be in a position to give reports of the specific people who we were with in the cocoons, and that is really going to help. At least do not be alone, at least identify yourself with 1 or 2 people, and that is going to really also help us identify who is not supposed to be in us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Trufena, then Professor Fred, kindly
yes,
proceed.
hello.
Yes,
hi, how are you?
Hi. Kindly proceed. Finya Tena, I've had you. Just a moment. Trufena, kindly proceed.
Okay, hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you. First of all, my condolences to those who lost their lives and their families. I'm really sorry for them. I've been on the streets since it began, and I can say I'm one of the people who lost their jobs. because of these protests. I lost my boss, and in the fracas and so forth. It's a long story, but I won't back down. I'll still proceed pushing on and going out in the streets for the protests. My question, though, is can we have at least some meeting points so that we go in groups? We know we meet at certain place and then we march to this particular point, then we proceed to this place, and so forth and so on. Then too, I'd like to encourage the movement, because when you listen, I think one of you just spoke about this. When you listen to what transpired in Senate today, it means that the movement is effective. Because honestly, if it were before this movement or before this particular movement, they could have accepted their salaries and they won't talk. But today you saw what transpired and every other thing. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Thanks for keeping the time. Professor Fred, and then Finya Tena.
Thank you so much and good evening. Actually, my condolences to the comrades we've lost, the patriots. 41 in number, so sad. What I want to say, actually, I want to echo the sentiments of Dr. Miguna. We have the numbers. Right now, as it stands, we have a police size of around 106,000. That is 89,000 males and around 17,000 females. When you look at the military size, the latest size that we have is around between 24 to 30,000. So we only need 1 million strong so that we can overpower these people and take over. Another thing, out of the population that I've just stated, we are not certain that the entire population of the police, 106,000, are pro-government. I have relatives, I have friends serving, and they're equally not happy with the regime because they're also facing the chaos that we taxpayers are receiving. They are suffering. And so we need numbers, we have it, and so we should not back down. I support Dr. Miguna's sentiments. Let us not back down. Let us not talk about re-strategizing. What are we re-strategizing for? We want to take these people home. We want to arrest the 205 MPs who voted yes for the draconian finance bill and then move forward. You see, we don't have time to dialogue with someone who lies left, right, center. Someone who lies to people during the day, during the night, 24/7. We have no time to dialogue. And my concern, I have a concern actually that Dr. Miguna raised earlier. This person is waiting. Dr. Ruto is waiting for the 21 days to elapse. And then this thing becomes law. Let us not wait for that. Let us fight it to the end. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Professor. Finya, your comments, please, and then we give the mic to Dr. Terry.
Thanks, co-host. I can say that. Do you hear? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I'm very grateful for the opportunity given, and foremost, Dr. Miguna, for your encouragement, because when we started this thing, a certain MP said that these are TikTokers who want to just to make and earn some viewership. But later she came to realize this is not just a TikToker thing movement. These are some people who knows what is going on and what has been going on. So as most of the speakers have said that there is no need to vote in the Senate was becoming a malaika. Until now, you are wondering how. You were wondering how Akina Sheriot and was speaking, because even me, I was surprised to someone like Cheregei to say that these people, they are good, they are don't. So they have realized that these guys, these guys, we live with them, we stay with them, they know us, they know our extended families. But they took us for granted for a long time, because that's why they were even intending to pass bills which are not even common mwananchi oriented. So I think when we come the way we are coming, because we are a tribeless, we are partyless, we are leaderless, so many people have been framed that these are the people hosting, or there is a financial behind this group. But I think we have tried our best to make sure that it remains purely for the betterment of the nation. Because when you go back to the history of this country, it started a long time, Mau region time. Then we came to the multi-party. Then we came to now. At least now we have a new constitution. Now we want to defend the new constitution. This thing is good, but it's only that I know. I know so many. You can have a good thing, but some people might not have the right channel of how to maintain it. So me, I can just urge my colleagues. So many things have been said today. Mara, the medics have withdrawn. I think these are just tusiangalia hiyo nini sana, because when we start now checking on those things, we might get distracted along the way. And as many people have said, the within 21 days, this thing might come to pass, because we know. Then just to conclude, one of the senators said that when we become too obvious that if you say anything, someone will just say it's a lie, it becomes so hard for you to even bring hope to them. And I can tell you for free, there is nothing hard like defending a lie. When you say something which is very truthful, you can defend it today, tomorrow, and even many years to come. But when it's a lie, we will if they ask you today, you will say this. Then it becomes ask the same thing, you will say another different thing. So it becomes too hard to even to defend a lie. So with this one, I think we need just to soldier on, because we know where we are heading to. That's the key thing. Asante sana.
Thank you so much, Finya. Tena, were you able to identify some goons as you were on the ground?
Sorry?
Did you by any chance see the goons that some of us just saw on the TV? Did you by any chance, were you able to identify some of them, or to see a group of people that were acting differently where you could say this could be goons? I mean,
when those
I mean, you should only answer if you're comfortable with it. I don't want somebody coming for you to go and identify those goons for them.
no.
Okay, yeah. Okay, over to you, Be Real, because so far I could not identify any question for Daktari. Daktari, not unless you want to chime in, we can give Jackson the mic. And so let's take 3 minutes each. And if you have a question for Daktari, he will know, you can go on. You can pose it, and then he's going to answer it. Jackson, over to you.
Thank you so much. How is everyone?
We're fine, thank you. We're fine, thank you.
All right. Now, I want to be very brief. I want to be very, very brief. One, we don't have even a millisecond to surrender. We are dealing with a very, very rocky person whose back doesn't understand, whose front doesn't understand. And Dr. Miguna knows him better than we have known him, because for us, we are young millennials. We might have not known him since 1992 when we were born. So when you hear him talking the way he's talking, he has a pure history of the kind of a person we are dealing with. We've lost so many people in the ICC case and several other cases that are very dubious, and people are disappearing. This was begun, and at one point when he said that there is no surrender, you remember that during electioneering period, that is where we are. We are not surrendering, because when we surrender, he is going to come for every piece of us, every piece of us. So there is no surrender. That is one thing. The second thing, we have to craft a strategy. Actually, there is no strategy. The only challenge we have now is now they have decided to turn peaceful protest to become looting by infiltrating strangers within us. I lost my phone yesterday in town, just close to Afia Center. And you saw what was happening at Quickmart. Those are not Kenyans who are protesting. Those are looters, and they were sent by someone. There is no way a whole Quickmart could be stolen in a record of almost 2 hours, and there is no policeman. So we have to appreciate the fact that there are people who have been sent in the midst of good protesters who have visions, and they are with us here. So we have to, maybe we'll have to consult our seniors like Dr. Miguna to give us a new trajectory on how to deal with such kind of challenges. The third thing, as we said earlier, that we need to deal with one thing at a go. And even if it means punching our footsteps close to the offices or the parastatals that are concerned, we need to face one thing at a go and ensure we put it down. We started with finance bill. We will be going to IBC. We are going to Ministry of Health, Medic. We will be in the Ministry of Agriculture. Linturi has just to go. There is no any other option left. And so many fake ministers we have, and very incompetent ministers. The third thing, there are parastatals and authorities that are not making sense. And that is why we have bloated wages, bloated bloated system. Those parastatals also we need to put in the list of the 14 agendas that we are working on. That said, let me appreciate Dr. Miguna for coming over. People will say what they have to say about him, but he is here to ensure that whatever that they have fought for a long time has to come for fruition through this generation. So we have no space to live, colleagues. We have no space to live. We just have to move forward. We have to come out as many as possible, and we have to ensure that we deal with goons and looters who are becoming part of us squarely and sacafoniously, and ensure that all the 14 agendas that we had from time go are well addressed, and they are well taken care of. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jackson. Biril, before you proceed, I just wanted to underline something a point that you put through, that, the looting that went on at the supermarket, the police response was very slow. So this is a matter that needs to be investigated because it's suspicious. Another thing that's very suspicious also during the Occupy Parliament process, the police knew this, the protesters said they would do this, but still, it's like they didn't take enough precaution. So they're leaving a lot of room for interpretation. So the question here is, are they doing it intentionally so that they can portray to run a narrative that they want to run? Because honestly, looting cannot go on for hours without police intervening or parliament being occupied and the police are really overpowered. So they needed to put in more people. Over to you, Birel.
Actually, Maj, from the videos that went on yesterday from the people that were actually on the ground, you'd see a reaction from a cop to the protesters. But when the shops are being looted, there's actually one video that was captured. I'll try to find it. That actually the cops are looking at this guy and having a talk with a person that is actually looting a shop. They were like actually doing nothing if you watch those clips. So their problem was with the protesters, but not the looters. And that's why it raised a lot of concern. And then late in the evening, there's a clip on Cyprian Nyakundi's page that was showing actually when they were being paid in the evening at around about 8 o'clock. It was well captured. So it was a calculated move so that if you look at the approach that they're trying to do is now for the business people to complain about the peaceful protesters that their businesses are being destroyed. Yet somebody employed these people to come and destroy to bring a distraction and a diversion of attention. That was what I noticed from the clips that went on yesterday. So we'll carry on, but we're coming out with we'll try to advise the people that are going out there on either dress code and meeting on a centralized point, not meeting on different kind of locations. Lukisha, you'll go, and then Ken Query, then Sumbaro. Dr. Jackton, allow me to drop you from the mic so that we can add more. And then let's stick to 3 minutes. And we would appreciate questions and people that were actually on the ground to be on the speakers panel. And if you're on the ground and you have something pressing, kindly join the speakers panel. We're trying to add as much as possible from the people on the ground. Lukish.
Okay, Lekishon is my name. I am not.
Thank you.
Sikuwa kwa ground, mimi ni Mkenya kutoka upande huu wa Norway. Lakini niko na watu kwa ground. Sijui kama unaniruhusu niongee.
I'll give you 2 minutes because today we want actually the people on the ground. Alafu, I'll give you 2 minutes only.
Okay.
Kindly.
Mimi langu ni kupongeza na kufeel vizuri. We are dealing with the chief of GOONS in the president. We know his history, hiyo ndio tumekuwa tukisema, and his followers, ama his cabinet members, some of them, kama Moses Kuria, we know them. These are the people who want to disturb the peaceful demonstrations. What is shocking this government ni wameshtuka. Kumbe Kenyans can be united without a political leader, with no tribal backing. So they are trying to gamble left, right, center. Na kila ambacho naona, it's like they are about to succeed. Because protests ambazo tulikuwa tunakuwa na millions of peaceful demonstrators, thousands of them, seems like sasa tumeanza kuachia goons. So how do we reclaim this movement ambayo imeanza, kwa sababu they are about to succeed? When I read the signs, watu ambao nilikuwa na wao wako kwa ground, wengine wanasema tukienda tukipigwa je. So ningeuliza Dr. Miguna, in such a situation, what do we do so that people wenye wako kwa ground wasikuwe na uoga, wajitokeze in thousands kama walivyokuwa? Hii imetetemesha. Mumeona leo vile wamehangaika kuanzia Senate, kila mahali mishahara wameanza kusema wajipunguzie na kadhalika. The movement is real. This has been always my wish as well. Kwa hiyo my question, my concern is, how do we get back to the 25th of June? That was historic. What else can be done to have such for more demands and for more movement to be kept alive? Thank you. Mengine nitaongea baadaye.
Thank you so much, Ken Kwe, and then Sumbaro.
Thank you, Hilary, Maj, Biril, for hosting the space, and thank you to Daktari for being part of us today. Nilikuwa kwa ground yesterday, and I didn't spend the whole day in town. When things got ugly, I decided to go back home. Yeah, so I just want to run us through a few points. Number one, I want to make us understand why the political class hired goons. So for me, I think the first reason is to demoralize us. We have to understand that most of us, this is our first time in the trenches. Daktari has spoken about being a freedom fighter for a very long time. He's been in this game for long. So for some of us, this is uncharted territory, and I think most of us will agree with me. And another thing is that I believe one of our main obstacles is that many of us, perhaps especially the young people, might be emotionally fragile. So bringing in goons, bringing in violent goons and all that, it basically tests our resilience. And I think the government knew this, and that's why they brought in the goons. Secondly, I think they brought in the goons to taint our credibility, both domestically and internationally. One of the main things about these demonstrations is that we've really won the domestic and international community's hearts. The first 3 demos, we had restaurants throwing bottled water to demonstrators, and that shows the amount of support we had. Yesterday, just before I headed to town, I had a call with my father, a conversation. He's a bit old, and he was encouraging me, telling me that it's a high time we get these people out of power. And so we had won so many hearts. And the moment you introduce goons and they bring violence and chaos, you taint our image and we lose that support. And another reason why I think the government brought in goons was to try and turn us against each other. Yesterday, everyone was blaming Osama, everyone was blaming Kimuzi for being the amplifiers of the demos, telling them that you owe the business community, you owe everyone that has lost property, you owe everyone that has lost their life. So I believe turning us against each other was one of the main agendas for why they introduced the goons. So how do we go about this? How do we recover? I believe that we need to first change or work on our wording. I'm not a marketing expert, but I believe many marketing experts will agree with me that yes, I believe that many marketing experts will agree with me that in as much as we are saying Ruto must go, why do we want him to go? I think we need to amplify corruption, accountability, police brutality. We need to amplify such messages to gain more support from people again, to make people angry again. Then something else. I think my parting shot before I land, I want to make it clear that we've not succeeded. I've seen people saying we've succeeded, but we've not succeeded. We've lost more than approximately 49 lives through these demonstrations, only for rejecting the finance bill. So we are far from succeeding anything. It's not, basically, if you compare, it's not worth losing 40 lives just for the finance bill to be dropped. So we need to finish the job. And as I wind up, and I've insisted that we have Ruto in the perfect spot. We have him where we want him to be. So it's about time we realize that this is far from over. We should not relent. So let's persist. Let's amplify our messages. And yes, Ruto must go. Thank you for giving me the time and the mic.
Thank you so much. I see, Dr. your mic is on. Probably you want to chime in. And to
Yes.
coming speakers, kindly only 2 minutes and then you move. And,
yes, Maj.
Dr. over to you. Yes.
Thank you. I want us to be very, very clear, because you see, if we are not clear in our minds, we cannot achieve anything. It is unfortunate that some people are focusing on Ruto's ministers. He appointed all of them deliberately. He knew that he was appointing crooks, but he did so deliberately. He knew that he was appointing incompetent people. He did that deliberately. He had options. He had a lot of Kenyans that he could have picked, and he chose to pick these ones. And even though people have been complaining about them, he's refused to fire any one of them. So forget about the ministers. The focus is on Ruto. If Ruto goes, he goes with all his ministers. So why should you care about going to the Ministry of Agriculture? You are going to scatter yourself too thin. For what reason? You are trying to spread yourself thin when you should be together. Let us be together in one spot and sing one song. Ruto must go. It cannot be anything else. You see, let us not be mentally, psychologically vulnerable to these guys. Because even one of the listeners has just sent me a message, and it's quite revolutionary. He says, look, a revolution, a protest, any attempt to correct the system is not a wedding procession. You don't expect him to meet you with bouquets. He will fight back, and he's fighting back through his goons. Let us avoid talking as if the demonstrators or protesters were goons, or some of the protesters stole or looted. They want us to focus on side issues, red herrings, diversionary things. We are dwelling too much on their issue. The issue of goons we should have settled by simply saying, Ruto is desperate. He went out there and hired goons so that he can discredit the protest, and it has failed. And then move on from there to other more important and effective ways of moving forward. One of the things that people must do, first of all, there is no question you cannot go to Uhuru Park, because that has been done, has been attempted many times. They only bring GSU and whatever to seal it off, and you will not be able to get there. We are going to get to public open spaces like Parliament, because it is open. You get there through the roads, and that is the meeting point. How you get there is not our issue, because if you let them block you from getting out of your estate, they will, and then you will not reach Parliament. So don't congregate out of town. Get to CBD through whatever means, whether you are walking, whether you are on a motorcycle, whether you are on a matatu, whatever it is, get to CBD. That is how revolutions are done. You don't tell them that we are going to meet out of town, because they will simply block you from getting to the CBD. The important thing about the CBD, apart from the symbolic importance, is that you grind everything to a halt. Let them not tell you about the stock exchange. Let them not tell you about our business are not running. Let the businesses not run, so that they can understand that this is a serious thing. Because if they do not understand this is a serious thing, then Ruto will continue with business as usual. So let's not be distracted. Finally, let people stream this thing. If you are downtown and you are a multitude of people, stream it live. Stream live whatever is happening, so that if people are being attacked, everybody can see. Stream it on Facebook, stream it on X, stream it on TikTok, stream it wherever you can stream it. But make sure you stream it and take good pictures of any thugs that they hire to come and attack people. But let's not dwell too much on the fact that they hired the goons, because the more you do that, you are actually making him win. You are distracting yourself. You are causing fear to yourself and to other people. And this is not the time for that. Let us stop lamenting. Let us come up with concrete things we must do. Thank you much.
Thanks so much, Dr. Harry. And so as we move on, like underlined by Dr. Harry, yes, we already noticed the problem. We've talked about it. Now let's just move on from there. And I hand over the mic to Sumba Robin. then Kimani, and Albizia in that order.
Thank you very much, everyone on the call. First of all, I just want to say that for those that are our fallen heroes, let their souls rest in peace. For me, first of all, is to say that we've been able to progress well. The people who've been talking of strategy, I feel that for our strategy, it lies more in being adaptive. So we need to be very adaptive to everything that is thrown to us, because so many things will come along our way. We need to really be very focused. I've been able to really just be able to compare and contrast success stories of where people were able to go on the street, and I have been able to pick learnings that I think we can be able to also utilize and see that we succeed. In Tunisia, when they were trying to work out a way to just be able to relieve themselves from the yoke of dictatorship, one thing that they did was to be persistent. It was not something that was done in a day or 3 days. It was for a whole month, 30 days. After 30 days, the dictator who had been there for 23 years, Ruto, we are talking for 2 years, 23 years with systems that he had developed, he was able to run away, and the Wananchi were able to overcome, and they were able to put in place systems that worked for them. Equally, in Egypt, it worked the same way. So the thing is to really be adaptive, to really be consistent, and also to be there in numbers and to be peaceful. If you are peaceful, it becomes very hard for somebody to discredit you and to work against you. So looking at the 2 days that we were successful, if we were able to maintain the same tempo, then again, Ruto will really find it hard to really work against us. Then the other thing that I've observed in town, whenever that the protesters assemble, the first thing that the police do is to quickly do dispersion of tear gas. So if we can be able to work in silos, probably come into a number of groups that are then be able to converge at a point, having being in numbers that are a bit of a challenge to police, then it can really work for us. Because I've seen that police, even 2 people or 3 people, when they see any gathering that is small, they are able to quickly come in with the tear gas. If we can be able to find a way of going around that, then I believe that is something that we can really be able to overcome this challenge. Thank you very much, and I'm really, really impressed by Dr. Miguna's input.
Thank you so much. Kimani, you're next, then Albizia. You have 2 minutes each. That means after 1 hour, I'm going to be raising my hand. Then be on the lookout. Check my profile. When you see my hand up, then it means you have 1 minute to go. So for speakers that are coming on board, kindly prepare your points in a way that you can present them in 2 minutes. Over to you, Kimani.
Good evening, people. I've heard what we have said about re-strategizing and what's next, what we are supposed to do. I would like to say that the hashtag Ruto must go is very important to this movement. And I would like to advise you guys that instead of just saying that Ruto must go, we need to fight for the reconstitution of the IEBC, because there is no way that we can say Ruto must go, and when it comes to that, to the actions in which we need to take in order to achieve the goal, there are no tools in which we can use in order to achieve our goals. Secondly, I would like to say that as Kenyans, we have failed so much in choosing our leaders. We have chosen leaders who are corrupt. I myself, we have chosen people who do not have empathy. We have seen the reactions of Mr. President when he has been asked about the people who have been killed. We have seen his responses. So in our next general elections, I would like that we choose people who have the characteristics of leaders. Go to listen to people around them, how they talk, how they carry themselves, what they are selling. Because I was fooled by Ruto. That's true. I was fooled That guy was so cunning in trying to fool Kenyans, and we fell for it. So I urge you Kenyans that in our next general election, we look at these leaders very keenly and also emphasize on the IEBC matter. We need to reconstitute the IEBC in order so that we can, if it's recalling the MPs who are not supporting our movement, we can recall them and replace the people who are willing to work for the people. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kimani. For the reconstitution of the IEBC, please mute your mic, Kimani. My understanding is that we really spoke about it the past days. So that means that in accordance to Article 1, when there's a reset, then everything is going to happen. So, that's where, coming up with new institutions. So it's not like, one step has to come, first step, a reset, and then other, the institutions that are supposed to be also reset will be done. Albizia?
Can you give somebody, please? I'm doing something. I'll talk later, please.
Bet, please.
First of all, let me say that we should keep our eyes on the ball. And the ball here is the clarion call that Ruto must go. This is what we should focus on. The other issues of IBC and the rest, the goons, should not come in. And the secret will be on our numbers. We must turn out in large numbers so that we can overwhelm the goons that have been hired. Revolution cannot be attained if we are divided, if we lose focus, and if we allow the kind of conversations that we saw in the Senate today, trying to divide us and trying to look like they are changing. They will not change. And the revolution must happen now for us to change our country, to fix the judiciary, to fix the executive, and to fix the parliament. That will happen after the revolution has been achieved. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Bet. Let's proceed to Weston.
Thank you so much, Marge. First, my commiseration to the fallen patriots. It's unfortunate that it had to come to this when people rise up to fight for justice, for equality, for equity, for economic emancipation. They are not setting themselves up to be turned into martyrs. So it's terribly unfortunate. And any state that does that effectively loses legitimacy to govern. After having said that, I wish to remind my fellow compatriots that the question of infiltration of protest by shadowy characters, suddenly the word goon has found pride of place in our political lexicon. It's not something new.
Everyone.
Yes?
You
Hello?
can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Right.
Hello? Okay, fine. Somebody. Yes. Can you hear me now?
Kindly proceed, Weston. The problem is, just hold on, there's a Weston and then there's a Western. So Western Shilaho, please proceed. And Western Murai, wait a moment. So Western Shinyalo, kindly proceed.
I can't hear anybody.
Thank you.
What is going on?
Now, can you hear me now?
Just hold on.
Hello?
Just hold on.
Hello?
Dr. we can hear you.
What happened? Marge?
Yes, I can hear you. Hillary, can you please...
Marge, can you hear me?
Yes.
I really can't hear anybody.
Daktari, can you hear me?
No, he
Wow.
cannot hear anyone. Hillary, can you text him
Can you hear me?
to log out and come back?
Okay.
Let's do that. Let Hillary handle that as we proceed. Western, kindly proceed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for that clarification. Well, I was saying that it's unfortunate that lives have had to be lost because in the exercise of a people's inalienable constitutional rights, no life should be lost.
I cannot hear you. I cannot hear anybody.
We cannot hear you. We can hear you. Hillary is texting you, contacting you so that you can log out and come back again. Let me text Hillary that. Okay. Weston, please proceed.
Thank you so much. Well, be as it may, I think this is an indictment on our democracy. Lives should not be senselessly lost in a democracy. In a democracy, we should be able to resolve our political and economic contradictions civilly through set out institutions. We are not doing it now. Why? Because of institutional impunity, by the state. And that's why we are where we are. And we're saying we have to relentlessly fight and push back against this seemingly impregnable culture of lawlessness and impunity. Having said that, I wish also to draw my fellow compatriots to the fact that any given struggle, any war is also psychological. The people that we are ranged against will stop at nothing to invoke all sorts of tactics and stratagems to deflate this mass movement. And one of which is where you see people beginning to cast doubts on themselves. Are they doing the right thing? Are they not doing the right thing? That's psychological. We must be aware of that. I don't know whether Dr. Miguna is listening to me. I've got two quick questions for him. Is he listening?
We're trying to sort out his issues. Of late when people are listening, the spaces are tampered with, unfortunately. But do post your questions. He's going to work on his connection and then come back. Do pose your questions. We are taking those questions. We're writing them down. You have 1 minute to land, please.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Marge. Let's remove him from the speaker, then we invite him back. I think Hillary cannot hear us either.
Okay, let's do that. Weston, please proceed with your questions.
Okay, good. I would like Dr. Miguna to weigh in, and any other person in the forum on the question of class versus ethno-regional politics. The latter has held us back, which I consider to be extremely retrogressive, because it has denied us an opportunity to caucus and have a conversation on cross-cutting social, political, and economic considerations. And I look at the kind of challenge we are bedeviled with currently, which is not new, as the rest of the Kenyans, who constitute the majority, ranged against a tiny clique of the ruling class that has commandeered the state and appropriated the associated benefits and consigned everybody else to the margins of the mainstream economy. So I'm asking, there's this tendency to draw parallels between ethno-regional politics and class politics, which evokes fear among some Kenyans in equal measure. And I don't think that is correct in my reading, because our contradictions can only be addressed when we caucus coalesce along ethnic, religious, gender, regional lines, and address the things we're doing now.
Weston, may I kindly route you back to the topic? I mean, the topic you're discussing is very, very important, but let's really stick to the topic of the day. So take 30 seconds to pose your question relating to this topic to Miguna, and then we go to the next.
1 second. 1 second, kindly. Could you ask?
Thank you.
Just
I
ask the
think
speaker
it's
to
a.
hold on. Sorry about that. Madge, can you ask Dr. if he can hear us? Because I'm trying to add him to the speaker panel.
Okay. Well, let's sort that offline because I cannot see him. Let's sort that out offline. So Weston, go, and then we go to the next to Vincent. Weston, just 30 minutes for the question.
Okay, I'm done with the question, Marge, but I would wish to, because it stems from a doctor's previous presentation, and I didn't get a chance to ask him that question. It's imperative because it's at the core of our political mobilizations, at the core of what we're doing now, because we are fighting for economic emancipation. We are fighting for better livelihoods. So I don't think it's an outlier question as such. In any case, Dr. Miguna addressed it last time.
Thank you. Vincent, over to you.
Hi, thank you for letting me speak. I've been on so many calls the last few days. My wife is Kenyan. We're going to grow our family up in Kenya. I have a very high regard for the potential of Kenya. What I want to discuss is with the effects of these hired goons is that I think people need to wake up a little bit, yeah? This Westminster system of government has continuously failed every country and has been corruptible in every country around the world, not just Kenya. I mean, Kenya, the corruption is seen quite clearly, probably more than other places. But believe you me, Western societies are crumbling at the moment, and they are suffering the same issues with goons, as you so called them, set up by three-letter agencies that are all over the world. Australia, the US, everywhere I've lived all over the world. Now, I think what we need to get to a point to is that we have the technology right now to implement decentralized systems so that we can implement direct democracy and remove power from these sons of bitches that are ruining countries left, right, and center and influencing the state of politics through very sophisticated means. I mean, if you look at the people that Ruto is dealing with right now all around the world, is the same people that are destroying democracies within their own countries. Now, they use these three-letter agencies to be doing the work that they do to influence basically political motivation. Now, if you implement decentralized power in terms of putting major decisions directly without the use of continuous representatives who you never really know, and eventually, because of the Westminster system, they become corrupted. This system needs to stop. Kenya has the demographic, this young population which gets blockchain, which gets decentralized systems to be able to facilitate this. They have the knowledge, they have the smarts. This is what we need to be doing to, usurp the power of these goons. So, and to hold people accountable. We are holding spaces every few days to build the first system off the cab off the rank, which is a voting system, which will be incorruptible because it will be transparent on the blockchain and open source. If anybody wants to join that discussion, but I think that everybody needs to think about a new form of government because this form of government is failing the world. It's not just Kenya. And every finance, every tender, every vote should be accountable, auditable on the blockchain, which is what it's designed for and extremely good at. And these people need to be held to account. And funding to these three-letter agencies or these nefarious goons needs to be seen where this money is going. So, you start attacking the root cause. You decentralize the systems of power, make these people more accountable. We just cannot have this system, Westminster 300, 400, 500-year-old system anymore. And let Kenya, through the demographic that we have, be the shining light for the rest of the world. It can be done. We're doing it. We're socializing what we're doing. We're actually building it. This voting system will be out in 2 weeks by the 17th of July. If anybody wants to know what we're building, critique it. or anything like that, please do. But you need voices to be heard, right? And at the moment, everybody's saying, well, who are we talking to? You don't talk to bloody anybody. Why should they? This group is correct. We are, it should be leaderless. Who you're talking to should be a incorruptible, immutable voting system whereby everybody has direct.
Biril, can you hear Vincent? I cannot hear him.
I think we lost him.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm told that
yeah.
Terry is back, and I'm told Manura is also on. Can you see Terry on the panel? Because I cannot see him. Welcome, Terry. If you can hear me, please say something.
Terry, can you hear any one of us? Oh, Madge, we lost you. Okay, I'll queue in as we wait. Welcome, Kip Kalia Kwanest. Welcome, Haman Munyara. Welcome to the space. And Hillary, please add Terry back. If you can hear me, give me 100. Anybody who can hear me? Kings, can you hear me? Nice, lovely. Thank you, Justice. We'll give you Kingsman. I think Vincent is talking about block technology, and Vincent will give you back the mic at a later stage. I think you dropped or something. We'll give you the mic again, and you'll take us through that after we are done with our today's guest. I had you. Can you hear me? Justice, give me 100 if you can hear me. What happened?
Biril, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I think Hillary pressed something. I think something is wrong. If you can. Vincent was on the mic, but we lost him. He's on something called blockchain. So we'll go through him after we're done with our guest. I'm still not seeing Dr. Terry on the panel. So we'll carry on with the other speakers as we await.
Let's get on with Weston, the other Weston, as we try to push back the Terry back. Then we want to hear a lady's voice. Then we go to Brendan, and
Hi
then
guys,
Kingsman.
you can hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me? Okay.
Yes, please proceed.
I've been following the space and I've been on this street since the day one that we started, and I can tell you guys, things are getting worse, things are changing. The first time that we did the protest, it was so peaceful and everything went on well. The second day, the same happened. And I heard someone who was saying that even the restaurants were also providing water. Things started changing during the protest that we staged on walking to Parliament. That's when everything changed. And we could not tell who is who because street zote zilikuwa zimejaa. That was on Tuesday. Then on Thursday, that's when I realized now that even the policemen that we are having on the ground, the same policemen that we are being told that they should protect us as we protest, are the same policemen that are being used for yesterday when the goons came. Someone said about the quick mat. Policemen did nothing. But when they find someone who is saying that Ruto must go, that person was being arrested. It happened also in Isri. There's so many creeps that are going around of protesters who are peaceful, being harassed, being beaten up, being picked by police. But when goons are looting the shops or even stealing from innocent people, the policemen are just walking away. They're just giving them